Welcome to the tutorial for finding the vertical and horizontal intercepts. So let's look at the first example if we are just given an equation. So this I have here, the equation for converting Fahrenheit or Celsius when we're given temperature in Celsius, and we want to convert it to Fahrenheit. So I have my equation, Fahrenheit equals 9/5 times the temperature in Celsius plus 32. So what does it mean when I say find the vertical and horizontal intercept for this equation? Well, the vertical intercept is when the line created by the equation crosses the dependent axis. So if you're using x's and y's, it is our vertical. So it's where it crosses somewhere on here on our axis. So it's going to cross somewhere on here. It could be negative, somewhere on that line. So that means that our independent variable has to be 0. So in this example, because we're looking at Fahrenheit, and I can have negative temperatures, my Fahrenheit is dependent on my Celsius. So my Celsius is the independent and my Fahrenheit is the dependent. So in order to find something on this line, where it only touches this line, I need to set my Celsius to 0. So if I'm looking at my equation, I need to set my Celsius to 0. So therefore, my Fahrenheit is going to equal 9/5. My Celsius equals 0 plus 32. So my Fahrenheit is going to equal 32. So that's where it's going to cross this vertical line for Fahrenheit. So Fahrenheit at 32, say it's right here. I'm going to say that's 32. Now, what about the horizontal intercept? What is that? Well, that is when the line created from the equation crosses the independent axis. So now we're looking at somewhere along here, our independent axis. So we're looking at setting my dependent variable to 0. So my dependent variable in this equation here is F. My Fahrenheit is the dependent variable. So I need to set that to 0. So therefore I'm going to have 0 equals 9/5 Celsius plus 32. And now I need to solve this equation to isolate my C. So I need to subtract 32 from both sides to be able to move 32 to the other side of the equal sign. So I have minus 32 equals 9/5 C. And of course, I need to cross multiply in this section. So I'm just going to continue over the side here so I don't run into my next example. So I have minus 32 times 5 equals 9C. And then minus 32 times 5 over 9 equals C. And if you run this through, that equals minus 160 divided by 9 equals C. And that actually C equals negative 17.8. So here, if I had all my Celsius, say 17.8 is here. So that means my line's going to run between these 2 points. just like that. So it hits 32 and it hits the 17.8. There, and it crosses the axis. So that's how I find out, given an equation, how to find my vertical and horizontal intercept. Now what happens if I'm given a graph, like this cost time graph? And I'm given points, and I'm given points that actually touch each of the axes, the horizontal here, and the vertical. I have points that are touching them themselves. Well, this is an easy one. I just have to look at my graph, and I can see that for my vertical intercept, it's touching here at this point, and that point is 0, 200. And then my horizontal intercept is touching down here at 5 and 0. So that's at 5 and 0. This is the easiest one because we can easily see visually from the graph where the intercepts are. Now what happens if we're given points that are not on the axis? So here's another cost time graph, and I've been given 2 points, 3, 6 and 7, 3. How am I going to find what this value is and what this value is, where they crosses the axis? Well, we're going to have to do a few more steps than just visually looking at it, and a few more steps than just finding the intercept, because the first thing I need to find is the equation of the line. So what are my steps for finding the equation of the line? So I need to find the equation of the line. And in order to do that, I need the slope. So I have 2 points that I'm given. That's what I need to find the slope. So m equals 3 minus 6 divided by 7 minus 3, because these are my second points. These are my first points. And of course that equals minus 3 over 4. And that makes sense because I do have a left leaning line, so my slope is negative. Now I need to use one of these points to find my equation of the line. So now I can find the equation of the line. And of course, y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. So let's choose the first set of points, 3, 6. So y minus 6 equals my slope minus 3/4 times x minus 3. I need to bring my 6 to the other side, so add 6 to both sides. I get y equals minus 3/4, x minus 3, and then of course plus 6. I need to distribute my 3/4 inside my brackets, so I have minus 3/4 x plus 9/4, and of course plus 6. Now I need to deal with this. So I'm going to go ahead and convert my 6 to my fraction, so then I can deal with this part here, and 6 equals 24 over 4. So I have y equals minus 3/4 x plus 9 plus 24 all over 4. That equals minus 3/4 x plus 33 over 4 equals y. So this is my equation of the line. I'm going to leave it in this form. Now I have my equation, now I can find my intercepts. even though I have y's and x's here, I know my independent variable is t. That's t would be where my x is, and my c is the dependent, so that would be here. So if you wanted to push it through as c's and t's, you could do that as well. So just to keep that in mind for some of you who are like, why did she switch? C equals 3/4 t plus 33 over 4. So this line has this equation. So let's deal with these intercepts. So of course, the vertical, we have to set our independent variable to 0, so that's going to be this one here. So I will switch to, I'm going to stick with the y's and x's, so I'm going to make my x here 0. So I have y equals negative 3/4 times 0 plus 33 over 4. So y equals 33 over 4. And if I wanted to keep that where it was not a fraction, but with decimals or whole numbers and a fraction, it actually equals 8 1/4. Or so you could keep it as 8 1/4 or 8.24, it's up to you. So the point is at 0, and I'll leave it in the decimal form, 8.24. Now let's deal with our horizontal intercept. So I need to set my dependent variable to 0. Then I have minus 3/4 x plus 33 over 4. Now I'm going to get rid of my 4 on the bottom. I'm going to multiply everything across times 4 so I can get rid of my 4's in the denominator. 4 times 0 equals minus 3/4 times 4x plus 33 over 4 times 4. So now I can actually cross out my 4's. So that leaves me with 0 equals minus 3x plus 33. And I need to solve to isolate the x, so I need to subtract both sides of 33. And x equals minus 33 divided by minus 3, x equals 11. So that means that my horizontal intercept is at 11 and 0. So if I go up to my graph, this point here is 11, 0, and this point here is 0 and 8 1/4. And that's how you find the vertical and horizontal intercepts when you're only given 2 points.